You're listening to This British Life podcast, conversations with interesting people.
Yeah, thank you very much. See, I made a good choice for that music.
It's really nice.
It gets people in the mood. So Anna, how are you?
Hi.
Good.
Welcome, Anna.
How do you pronounce your surname?
Solheim.
Oh, it is Heim. So that's what?
Norwegian.
Oh, God, I should have said it.
However, I'm not Norwegian.
Oh, that's husband's.
Oh.
It's ex-husband's.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, you kept the name. How does that work?
I mean, technically we're still actually married, but we remain best friends.
Yeah.
But because we were married in Norway, I then had to change by default, like legally here in the UK.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
I've just kept the name,
Yeah.
and I became. It became so synonymous with me and my brand and my work. I have such a good relationship with all my Norwegian family, so it's just stayed. It's stuck.
We're going to get to your profession, but you said something interesting because this is about people more than anything. I want to ask you. So you stayed good friends with your husband. How did it work? How did that go? That things ended, but you stayed. Was it just maturity? I think things didn't work out, but they didn't work out okay. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think obviously it's difficult when any separation is difficult. Yeah. But the way I see it,
and you have kids with him?
No,
okay.
I do have a child, but it's not with him. It's a long story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the way I see it, and we joke about it quite a lot, is like. We probably have the most successful marriage of all time because it's not that the relationship ended; it's just that the dynamics changed.
Right. Okay.
So the relationship is an amazing relationship. His daughter, his daughter's in her 30s now, but she lived with my son and I, for years after the marriage. We went our separate ways in the marriage. So the family dynamic is still there. I get Christmas presents. My son gets Christmas presents from his mum and in Norway every year. So it's an amazing, actually it's so evolved. It's the way, I think it's the way life should be.
Yeah, it's always warning signs.
It's progressive though, isn't it? It's quite nice.
Well, it's the way it should be, really.
It's nice.
I suppose if there hasn't been a deceit or something, then there's no reason. Things just don't work out.
Yeah, but I also think like there's levels of maturity in those situations.
Yeah, maybe ages.
As well.
But I always, because I'd met a few people that would start off attacking their ex, and I think that's probably not a good sign.
It's not. I just don't think. If you harbour so much negative energy and you give, I believe you give out. You get back what you give out.
Because I knew somebody, and I got to know them for a while, and they were constantly going about their ex, everything. And I thought, he's not a nice bloke. And after I'd known them, I'm thinking, I don't think I got the whole side of this story.
Yeah, you're going to be next.
Yeah, because I'm seeing things in you. You're quite, I don't think, and I felt bad. But I remember it as a lesson. They go, don't judge people.
Yeah, you hear that a lot, actually, don't you?
Oh, well, that's good, though. That's really good.
Yeah.
How do you describe yourself professionally?
Consultant. So I work in digital marketing, social media marketing, content creation. I hate that phrase because it's so used these days, isn't it? But that's essentially what I do, and I specialise in hospitality, travel, and the leisure space essentially.
Marketing for those types of companies.
It's marketing. My clients are, the private members clubs in London, hotels. I have a client on the Italian Riviera. I just got back from a 5-day production over there. Which is lovely.
You've got a holiday company that you've worked with as well, right?
I've worked with HF Holidays, which is like it's one of the I think probably the world's biggest walking companies. But yeah, I mean my favourite clients are the hotels. I love working with hotels. I just think it's just
pay their bills on time.
Are there some good perks working with the hotel company?
There's great perks. It's where I think there's just so much scope for creativity, and I just love being able to. I love the environment. I love the hospitality space. I think my first hotel client was Hotel S Vive in Ibiza. So I lived over in Ibiza working with them for a while, and
I'm just wondering if it's the location is the more. If it was in Bradford,
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I think I think with work, if you're lucky enough to actually have fun whilst you're working, it's everything. For me, I'm a workaholic, but it's because I enjoy it so much.
Yeah.
Like, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
I was going to say, have you always done marketing? Or?
Yeah, give or take. So I was in my 20s. I was sort of in-house with some of the really like high-profile, high-end members clubs, more on the events and marketing, in-house PR. So that gave me my background in
Is that how you ended up in the Groucho?
I was in,
Or you just a member? You're like,
We know someone else in the Groucho.
I was in Groucho on Friday night. I'm not going to lie.
Was Dave there?
Yes, I think so.
Hi, Dave.
yeah, we don't just get all our guests from the Groucho. Did you just join or did you do work?
No. I just joined some friends there. I'm actually not a member, but I do go there quite a lot. I love it in there. It's just such a cool place.
Yeah.
I love it. We popped in there to see some people, and we went and Soho House. Where I am a member. Yeah. But so that was my Friday night.
Where did you grow up then?
Grew up.
You're born in England.
Yeah, I was, but I grew up in Germany and Hong Kong, and then didn't come back to the UK until until I was early, I think 12 or 13.
What, your dad a banker or something?
Teacher.
Oh, teacher.
Teacher in Hong Kong.
He was actually my head teacher for my entire childhood.
Wow. Really? So was that a benefit or not? At the time, it must be more.
Hell no.
Oh, really? There's
Can
no
you
benefit?
imagine getting into trouble at school and then having a double whammy and also getting into trouble at home as well?
You can't show any leniency, so he probably has to bring the hammer down on you all the time.
Big time.
Did you rebel, or was you well behaved?
I was so rebellious.
So was he teaching in those countries?
Yeah, so it's military. So essentially, it was like the military kids.
Yeah.
So we were kind of civilians, but we got a lot of perks, like a lot of military perks, living on the barracks, and.
Were you a school age for both countries?
Yeah.
Did that feel weird, like jumping around all the time from different cultures?
No, I think
just took to it okay.
I think it was actually. It really set me up for life because obviously a lot of the soldiers and military families, they get 2-year postings. So I had to really adapt quite a lot and you learn very quickly to make friends very, very quickly. Yeah. And there was a lot of saying goodbye to friends, a 2-year turnaround. So, and then, we were there for a little longer. We had like 4-year stints. 4 or 5 years. So just seeing a lot of people coming and going, but then obviously coming back to the UK was a massive shock to the system.
How old were you when you came back?
I think it was like 12, 13, and I got we moved to Colchester, another in Essex, another military town, but it was, I think, by coincidence. And that was a shock to the system. British kids versus
very different
that sort of international military. It was
just a lot more chaotic sort of thing. They're more childish.
My god!
Were they sort of hard sort of group to break into?
I mean, yes, that was like I think. I was like this little blonde, tanned, kind of like alien to them. And so you can imagine how hard it was. I came into, it was like the second year of secondary school, so I'd already missed out. So that was really hard, actually. I'm not going to,
Baptism of fire.
Yeah. But I think it makes you what you are today, what you go through. And I don't sort of, I'm almost glad that I experienced the difficulties of coming back from an international upbringing, coming back to the UK and experiencing that. So
did you grow up in Colchester then? Yes.
Excuse me, sniffles. I was in Colchester until I was 18, and then I came to London.
What was that like? Did you leave London to come here yourself?
I couldn't wait to get out. Right. All I wanted all my life was just, I don't even know why, because I'd never even been to London. Yeah. All I wanted was to be in London. Yeah. Yeah. So the minute I got the chance and I'd done my A-levels, I just out.
Was it for studying?
I came to university here.
Which one did you go to?
No, so I got into the only university that would accept me without going through the UCAS process, which was the East London Uni. So the first place I ever lived in London was Forest Gate.
Yeah, Forest Gate.
And that was another experience in itself. I mean, but I absolutely loved it. And I honestly, I now consider myself a Londoner. I've been here.
Yeah.
I've been here. I'm now 44 as of like last week. And
Happy belated.
and and I've been in London, give or take a few stints in Ibiza. I've been in London since I was 18.
But what was you studying?
English literature and journalism.
What was you think? Oh, you want to be a journalist?
I always wanted to be a writer, always. And I have actually, you know, a lot of what I'm doing now.
It's still relevant,
It's
isn't
very
it?
relevant.
Yeah.
And I've had columns and written for magazines. So I've been in print on that side. But now, it's writing, obviously. AI has kind of has kind of affected the amount of writing we do, but it's still very much prevalent in everything that wrapped up in the wire. So writing was my foundation, and that led to digital marketing ultimately, communication.
Is AI being used in what you do now?
Everybody's using AI.
It's so. I mean, it's a game changer for the industry.
It's already filtered in. I thought we were still a few years away before.
No. It's So I'm actually having to re-qualify. I'm about to start a course which teaches me, because I'm self-taught with AI, as a lot of people are, but it is at the point now where we have to have that other string to our bow in order to...
what you need training in AI?
I think it's necessary, because the difference between having a higher level of understanding as to how to use it and how to instruct and program ChatGPT, and it's if you're not doing it in the right way, the results are, you know.
No, but my point is, why do you need it? Because it's just writing. Surely the human beings.
I feel like it's inevitable. It's one of those things.
I thought it's
you can't really not be aware of how it works, because everybody.
But if it's for writing,
well, what it is it increases output. So and because every client is so aware of ChatGPT, and the original fear with AI was that it would render the profession a little bit redundant. We become redundant, but it hasn't. Thank God, it hasn't. But what clients are aware of is that there's always that question of, you know, why should we pay a consultant when we can just go and ask ChatGPT? So their output and the speed in which you have to deliver work, the expectation is a lot higher, because you can deliver something which would take a week, 2 weeks to do,
but they're
literally
not
in an hour.
They still need a human to.
Yeah, they're not very human at all. No. I don't think. Even the way it sort of delivers the text.
About 3 years ago, one of the guys I write
sometimes.
with, I used to say to him, "Look at this article. Why have they got the time and the date wrong?" And it was like on Yahoo was the first one. Must have been the first, because when I log on, I have to go through Yahoo, and I would see something and I go, "They've spelled that and that wrong." And then it became a joke, like Yahoo. It was all terrible spelling mistakes. They get dates wrong. They'd use the same name twice.
Do you think they were using ChatGPT?
And he said to me then, I was probably AI. I said, "No, they're not using that." Now I realise, they were. Yeah. But even now I see things, and there'll be two sentences that are the same on a Yahoo landing page.
Have you been on ChatGPT?
I don't know what it is. But I've seen some stuff.
Yeah.
And it does. You go, this isn't perfect yet.
Yeah.
This doesn't work.
It's constantly evolving, but there's I think the ChatGPT is the free version, and then you can go for paid versions that do different things.
Right, yeah.
So you've got versions that are making up whole music videos.
I don't know.
Adverts.
Podcast scripts, ad campaign scripts. It's amazing. The capabilities are
Well, I've seen
incredible.
film review things where they have like a fake AI character, and it's clearly a robot talking, even though it sounds human, because a word will come along and they spell it phonetically, and you go, "Oh, that's not a real."
That's not a real person.
So
I know, it's like trying to spot what's real and what's not
so you're
real.
getting these channels popping up that are just saying like review this film, and then they create a character, and then they just pump all the films out.
Yeah.
We listen, and the word will come up and completely say it wrong.
It's crazy, but the capabilities, the line is so thin now.
But this is the thing. Whenever we talk
you?
about technology overtaking people, you forget people are still people, and people like to know that it's done by a person. That still counts.
It does.
So even though you go to do a film, I remember
And getting a service, actually, a personalised service.
Yeah, you can't.
That's
it's like when I
part of the experience.
We've talked about.
That you can
excuse me for bringing this up, but like sex robots and all the things that are going to come in the future, right? No,
going off down
In the
that road
future,
now.
in the future, they're there.
But no, here's the. Oh no, it was a private meeting, but anyway, it was a scriptwriter meeting. We was talking about it, and he said no. I said no because you will not value that robot girlfriend or whatever as much than somebody you know you have to keep. He said you will start disrespecting it after a year. No, I said you'll be getting it to do weird shit.
Can you disrespect a robot though?
Yes, no,
really?
but when it turns up and when a real person walks in, there's your girlfriend, beautiful, perfect. People over time, if you know that really actually doesn't give a shit about you, over time when the novelty's worn off, you will not treat it with the respect that you would a human to say, I have to treat them a bit well because they'll leave otherwise.
Just a bit. Well, I think there's actually, and it's already, I can guarantee it, already like a fetish for, there'll be an AI fetish that where, and you can see there's AI characters that have fan bases and they get paid, they're almost influencers and they're not real characters. And they have, and so that it's already a thing. Yeah. It's already
happening.
It's
happening. I know, but I just think there'll always be a point where human beings go, I want a human being that isn't perfect. You know what I mean? I remember there was in Russia about 20 years ago, they realized they could recreate diamonds. So they're created by pressure, like diamonds, like just constant pressure in the earth. That's why they're so valuable. So I thought, well, we'll just create machines that create constant pressure and they could do it. So they could bring out these flawless diamonds. Flawless.
Do you mean like lab-grown diamonds?
Yeah, lab-grown. So they put in this compression unit and they just held it for like 10 years.
Wow.
And like extreme pressure and the diamonds get created and they take them out and they clean them and they're perfect. The industry didn't work because the women didn't want one that was artificial.
Yeah, it's devalued. They didn't have the same value.
I feel like it's changing though because I've seen something on Dragon's Den and they got investment.
Yeah, there's always going to be hollow. I mean, like celebrities will have fake wedding rings in case they get mugged. And you think, well, just don't get that wedding, get a cheaper one. But so people will do it. But the industry didn't take off because as a rule, they would have to say this wasn't a diamond, this is a thingy diamond. People go, well, no, I don't want that.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
It's not replacing it, but people definitely
because human beings, the emotions,
angle.
everything that I want to know, that's real.
Yeah,
and I think that's with the AI. When they start doing the films and the novelty wars off, people go, I want a human beings film. I don't want a robots film. I think we'll know the difference.
I think people do. I mean, I can recognise a mile off if I look at some copy and there's certain words that come up a lot, and if I read the word elevate one more time, it's like this.
I'll be looking for that now.
I'm allergic to the word elevate just because I know it's an AI that's written. So so definitely, like it's almost when it's too perfect and too technically correct. You know it's not written.
Yeah.
By a person.
By hand, by a human.
How do you feel like with marketing, it's constantly changing, isn't it? There's always something, on a yearly basis, you can do things that sort of elevate, the marketing. Do you have any kind of things that you do to try and keep ahead of things that would be important to your clients?
I think it's just
AI.
being ask ChatGPT.
With the training, the AI training.
Yeah, it's just being in it constantly. So you're staying on top of trends. I mean, I'm subscribed to just about every industry newsletter and blog that I can possibly be. So I always know the latest updates, and capabilities of every marketing platform out there.
I've started getting these things on Instagram saying so and so's on Threads like every other day.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I haven't joined Threads yet.
Do you know what? I've
joined. I thought people were sending me something.
No,
they're
trying to get you to.
What is it?
Download it.
It's not to do with Trump, is it?
No,
not one of those sort of things.
I think it's. I haven't got. I'm on it, but I swear, and I keep getting notifications saying that this person followed you on Threads. I swear to God, I haven't logged in and actually looked. But my Instagram posts automatically feed through to Threads. But I think it's their way of trying to take on Twitter. Like it's it's a sort of like.
So do Instagram own Threads?
Yeah, it's.
Threads is like what's it called? X. It's X. Isn't it?
Exactly.
Like
you know what? I'm old school. I still say Twitter.
Twitter sounds
say
better.
it.
I don't care.
Yeah, X, but it just sounds weird, doesn't it?
It doesn't work
weird,
even as
yeah.
script. It doesn't.
It's like if
X.
you just say X to somebody, it's
Exactly.
it's like you're expecting them to say
exactly.
something else. It's not a complete.
It's terrible. It's the worst
weird.
branding ever.
It's weird. Yeah. Twitter. It's Twitter.
Yeah, 100%. But no, so I think it's their way of kind of trying to compete with other platforms in the same way that Instagram Reels came along to sort of combat TikTok. So they're all competing against each other. So yeah, but
what's Threads? What is it? Is it like a TikTok or a
No,
Twitter?
it's like Twitter.
it's more like
Do we need another one? How do they sell these business models? Do you know what we need?
I used to.
What would be your favourite social media platform?
Instagram.
Yeah.
Are you on TikTok?
Yeah.
Oh, you do
sometimes,
TikTok?
Yeah.
Okay.
I said I wouldn't join it, and then eventually
It's
I came.
annoying that you have to do it.
My
and then you just
mum's
have
like
to.
banging to TikTok.
But it's the filters. I mean, it's the.
What does that mean? The filters.
The only thing I like about it is these crazy filters that you can
Yeah, they've
have.
got
They're
everything,
They're
haven't
like so
they?
much fun. My little boy is obsessed with them.
Where you wear hats and things.
Yeah.
Oh right.
And you can make your face into a cat or something like that.
Yeah, I
Like,
know
I
what you're
do-
talking about. Right, okay.
So yeah, I think that they
What's your favourite social platform?
I think I'm Instagram as well.
Instagram, yeah.
I think there's just something. I mean, they just smash it on every level. There's just something so
It does everything well.
visually
It does a lot,
engaging.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that's what at Free Spirited Life
Yes, Free Spirited Life is my Instagram
and Twitter.
handle. Twitter, I think I have a Twitter account, but I'm
You do.
not
Use
active
it.
on it.
What I was
You
going to
found out.
I'm not active on it though.
Yeah, I know it's that above.
Oh, God.
Do you know what? My personal socials, it's funny because I spend so much time working within social media for my clients. My personal socials, it's ironic, isn't it? I really just do it when I feel like it, for the fun of it, because it's kind of like, you don't, if you've been working in it all day, the last thing you want to do is
do that again.
Yeah.
go in and, but so
Where did the name Free Spirited Life come from? I can sort of guess. Is it
She's
a personal
she's
narrative?
a very well-travelled lady.
Is it a recent personal narrative, or has it just been a general thing through your life?
It just sums up. It just sums up my sort of life ethos.
Yeah.
I am a free spirit. I try to be as much
from
as
childhood,
I
just
can.
moving around.
And I grabbed the handle absolutely years ago. I mean, so I was pretty lucky to get it, and I've just stuck with it ever since.
Did you have the handle before the business existed?
Yeah. And so it sort of evolved that, I sort of tried to keep all of my business branding kind of in keeping with because essentially I am my business, so yeah.
What socials are you on then? Twitter and Facebook? Twitter and Instagram?
I'm pretty much on everything. I'm only really active on Instagram.
Truth Social?
So what?
Truth Social?
What's that?
Trump's one.
Oh, Threads.
Social. No, Truth Social is Trump's one. He
Definitely
set up.
not.
Has he
Definitely
got his
not.
own social
Did you not know
media
that?
platform?
It's one of his
Well, he was
grifts.
kicked off, wasn't he? So
So he created his own one.
Created his own.
Truth
Sorry,
Social.
I am
ironic,
that,
an
but I'm
ironic
obviously
name.
not the target market for
What was he
that, so-
flogging the other day? He's got something else out now.
No, what was Charlie's
What?
fish toy?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Was that on there?
No.
Oh, good.
But
hang on, rewind. Fish toy.
Yeah.
There's this-
it
Oh,
literally
do you mean
is
like a toy for fish or a fish?
Do you remember in the 80s?
It's like
you
a
had a fish on the
It's the fish on the wall, like the
and play
plaque,
music.
but it's
But
like
it's
it
Trump.
sings and dances,
my
and it's
gosh.
a Trump fish.
But they had all the stuff Trump had brought out, and I'd forgotten.
It's like
He had the gold
merchandise,
trainers. He had his
isn't it?
Bible. He had his playing cards.
Let's start talking about him.
I always feel a bit dirty when I bring.
You keep coming back to Trump. I feel
Well, he is in everything now. He is
Yeah,
he's
don't give
poisoned
him any
everything.
more social space.
no more airtime.
No.
No, do you? Is all your stuff leisure stuff? Do you do like a podcast, for instance? Would you promote?
Yeah, I have clients who
okay.
I actually am usually on the other side of.
Yeah.
I was saying earlier, I'm usually on the other side of the camera and of the microphone directing. I have clients who I advise and support and manage.
So it's like a producing thing, not
Right.
right.
A little bit. It's not something it's not my forte,
Yeah,
but but it definitely crosses over into what I do. So, yeah.
So you know when you did marketing for like hospitality. So when did you make that sort of transition to do it for yourself, and what was that turning point where you thought, I'm not working for anyone now?
I was working, so I remember the last time I was like in normal employment was that I was communications manager for, I think it was Lord Stanley Fink's company, and it was an office in Fulham. I was working with them, a big team, it was a big, huge office, and he owned like it was like a group of luxury brands, and I was like, I was in charge of their comms. I left and actually initially became a freelance copywriter.
Oh, okay, right.
Which you would probably not be able to do now because of AI, as discussed. And that was amazing. I had an agent, and they just sent me out to all these different brands. And I would spend 3-4 days working in the offices all around Soho, London, writing product packaging and website copy and anything you can imagine. I was basically just writing.
Yeah.
And as social media became more and more important, people started grasping it was actually a proper job.
You have to have it.
I retrained. I started to train and look into it more and more, and diversified into social media marketing from purely digital copywriting. It then evolved. So and then eventually, the copywriting, it all just sort of merged into one, really. And that's how I ended up now. I would describe myself as a consultant.
Is it all for companies? Is there any individuals that say that one?
Yeah, I work. I do work sometimes with personal branding, but it's often tied into the companies that I'm working with. So I had, for example, The Other House in South Kensington, where a client, I led their sort of pre-launch strategy on the social media side, and the founder, Naomi Heaton, I looked after her personal branding as well as The Other House strategy, because and that's everything from what she puts out on LinkedIn, how she presents, like
LinkedIn,
what channel she, 100%. And she was constantly in panel talks and guests on podcasts, and that. So it was really important to make sure that how she presented herself was in line with the company.
You said pre-release. What's work pre-release?
Well, I mean, The Other House. So The Other House launched in South Kensington, and they bought. So the sort of pre-launch strategy and how they're going to. It had to be in line with their opening.
Right.
So.
Oh, I see what I mean.
So yeah. So when I say it was a pre. I did their sort of pre-launch strategy, and then took them through for the first. I think I was with them for about a year in the end, before handing over to an in-house. We recruited and got in-house people to take over.
What the term influencer, is that a specific line in the sand that now you're an influencer? Is it like 10,000 or 100,000?
Oh, and there's like nano, macro.
What size
oh
is it?
God,
No,
I
is it
don't
really?
even. I don't. Yeah.
Is it like 1,000? Would you say?
I don't know.
No, more. I think.
More than 1,000.
I think. I think you have to be on the sort of 10,000 mark, certainly on Instagram. Because do you remember when Instagram had the rule where you could only share links if you had on your stories, if you had over 10,000 followers, and they've ditched that, thank God.
Right, yeah.
So I think that sort of set the bench mark as to what qualified as someone who could influence and be of use to a brand.
Yeah.
Influencer. When you really distill the word, it's not a good word, is it? I influence people thing. Yeah. Well,
but it's amazing. I actually interviewed.
It can be positive.
It is. I interviewed someone who has a couple of days ago in Italy who has actually coined their own phrase. She's a gyno influencer.
What?
It's actually now a thing.
Gyno meaning what?
She's a gynecologist that specializes in women's reproductive systems, and she's become really successful on social media, organically so, and talking a lot about menopause and women's health.
It works.
She's actually and she's got hundreds of thousands of followers, and she's using that, leveraging that in order to give a voice to things that are quite taboo subjects. And
so she's just saying up front, this is what I am specifically.
Exactly.
I suppose you could do that in everything.
So she's a gyno influencer, which I thought was like really cool.
When did you come up with the name for it? Like, when did you start social media? Like your free spirited. When did you come up with that name?
Oh my God, I can't even.
Like, how long's your social media and Instagram been going?
I can't even remember. Like,
have you always had that name and then it's just evolved with like turning into a business?
Well, I was going to ask, did you change it? But that was the name.
Yeah. I mean, I think at one point I had Anna Solheim as my Instagram, so there would have definitely been a turning point. But it's been so long now, I can't even remember when it happened.
Can't have been that long ago.
Well, how old's Facebook now? Like, isn't that like 20 years old or something? It's old.
It must be more than that even.
It is.
It was before.
I'm trying to think.
It was before my son. It was before my son was born, so it must be at least 10 years that I've been. I've
do you remember what you first posted or why? Do you remember the first?
No, but you get the memories, don't you? They come back on thing.
Oh, do they? Right.
Yeah. God, I can't even scroll back that far. But I have, because at one point I was like, I kind of dabbled with writing my own blog, and I think I was living in Ibiza, and I started sort of like hobby blogging just because I like writing. I just like writing. Oh my gosh, my stomach's rumbling. Is that picking up on the microphone? So I started hobby blogging, and my blog was free. I had the domain, Free Spirited Lifestyle. Yeah. But
what were you blogging about? Just holidays, leisure?
No, like just kind of single parent life and
lifestyle.
Yeah, I was writing a lot about Ibiza because I resonate a lot with that island. I have a lot of history there, and I've lived there on and off throughout my life, in sort of stints. So and I spend my summers. My son and I spend the summer there. So it was a lot of writing about that kind of bohemian, free-spirited lifestyle that we have out there.
Right, yeah. Did I see something in your photographs with a teepee? Did you do something with a teepee?
Recently.
Oh, was that glamping?
Oh my gosh, yeah. And that was my dad's 70th.
Oh, right. What was that?
That's a very cool dad.
Well, I mean, so if we have this family tradition to go every year to a festival, and this year we upgraded it because it was his 70th. So we actually, usually I'm in like a 2-person tent on the floor, right. And we upgraded to the glamping tents in honour of my dad's 70th. And
where was it?
It was on an estate in Buckinghamshire.
It wasn't like
the festival is called Towersey. It's not like a cool festival. It's my dad's. It's like folk music.
Oh, okay.
But it's for my dad. So we all go, and the kid. Obviously, it's great for kids. So my little boy absolutely loves it. And
you sleep in the teepee?
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
And what's
is it
going
a
on
teepee
around?
or is it like a glamping?
It's glamping, but it does look like a teepee, like a wigwam.
Have you
like a wigwam.
Have you never stayed in one?
No,
you gotta try it. You do. No. It's fun.
I'm fussy about where I sleep.
In the summer, maybe.
No.
I mean, it rained non-stop, so I wasn't. I think the point where I had to put on welly boots.
Yeah,
in order and in my pajamas just to go and use a communal toilet, 5-minute walk down there.
It's not.
I was at that. Yeah, that was. That's not my favorite thing to do. I like my life's luxuries, but
where do you go on holiday? Does it all blur in with work?
Just blurs. I'm constant. Because the thing is about whenever I holiday, I just take my laptop with me.
Yeah.
So I just work from wherever I am. And I have friends. I spend a lot of time in Lisbon, in Norway. We go and stay with Inga, my ex-husband, over Christmas. We'll be going over Christmas, and I just work from wherever I am. I go to Ibiza. And
does work ever sort of facilitate travel? As in, like, they say,
yeah.
I mean, come over.
Yeah, for sure. Like the last 5 days on the Italian Riviera was with my client Villa Porta Rapallo, and it was amazing. I mean, we had a film crew. We were filming like the Villa show reel. So we had the models, the film crew, the photographer, and I kind of project managed the whole situation. It's just so much fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. It is insanely intense work. We're up with the sunrise and still working at midnight. But, when you sit back and we're we're like cruising the Portofino coast on a boat, and I'm
Very
trying
nice.
to balance
Was that one? I saw something with it was like there was some food photography and some cars. Was it that one?
Yes, yeah. So we're
When I say
currently,
cars, I mean like
they were
kind of like Lamborghini.
Yeah, they were brought in for the video, for the show reel, because there's this amazing sort of underground drive-in art gallery that has just been installed. So we were demonstrating that. And it's a very beautiful luxury residence, grand residence. So it's an amazing client to work with. And
What area do you live in now, roughly?
Wandsworth. I'm in like dog and mum country.
Oh, okay.
I've moved. I came into East London, then I kind of like went a step up to Shoreditch, Hoxton, which really loved it there, like really arty. Then I switched over sort of more to Chelsea area, and now obviously I'm a parent. I've gone like on.
Right.
I'm on
nice area there.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm on the wrong side of the water, but I love it.
Oh, okay. Where you had your coffee shop? Where was it?
In Brixton.
Oh, how long did you have it for?
3 years.
I've actually asked you about this. So what was it called? Can you say that?
It was called House of Hygge.
Oh, I have seen that. Yeah, how did you spell it? HY?
GGE.
And what does that refer to?
So it was basically encapsulating cozy family and friends time in the cafe. So for people to connect.
Was you just running it yourself?
So I partnered with a charity, and it was like a charity coffee shop as well. But yeah,
like
basically
Russell Brand,
me
he had that
pretty much running most of it.
Is Russell Brand right to speak about nowadays?
Yeah, let's not tie that in.
Wasn't he in trouble for something?
But that's so cool. How did you transition from coffee shop owner to podcast presenter? Like that's
so it was a.
Fly here.
Oh, is it
buzzing?
just relaxing over there?
Go. Hang on, what was you doing before?
I've done
modelling.
marketing. I've done marketing. I've had the coffee shop, but the coffee shop was a pop-up, so it was only a temporary lease. And then,
But how did it come about? Like, who said what about?
I just didn't want to do the 9 to 5.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So the passion to not do the 9 to 5 just makes you think of another option. And I did that. I planned the whole thing in a summer, and then I launched.
Did you
it.
specialise in anything, Brazilian coffee or anything?
No, not really.
No.
I think it was kind of like the sort of just quickly, because this isn't about me, but the coffee shop, it had like a fitness space at the top. So people used to do classes upstairs. They'd come down for coffee and shakes and juices. There was breakfast, lunch, events in the evening.
Did you have your regulars that would come in?
Yeah, it was a really, really lovely space. And I always thought that, because I thought with offices, I found them a bit hit and miss.
Yeah.
Whereas in a coffee shop, everyone was so relaxed and so like open and chatty, and you'd get a lot of creatives and entrepreneurs and stuff. They'd all go in there. So you just had a nice group of people.
Right.
So it was nice, but it was 7 days a week. Like 12-hour days.
You run your own business, there's no off.
I need to work for myself.
Did you do any,
not like that.
what marketing? Did you spend a lot of marketing? Or did you just open the doors and just social media?
I've got like a marketing background, so it wasn't too bad.
Oh, of course, right.
Yeah.
What can I ask you? It's all lessons. I hope you don't mind.
No, not at all. It's interesting.
So what happened? Was it just you couldn't make the money with everything else?
No. It was a temporary project.
Oh, right.
So the building got demolished and made into like new build.
Right. Okay.
And it was for me to sort of test the self-employment life.
Yeah.
Like if that's for me.
Yeah.
And it is.
Yeah.
But not 7 days a week in a physical premises.
You were literally open 7 days.
I mean, to work in any kind of operations in that industry, like F&B and hospitality, is graft. It's really, really hard work.
Well, anything you've got to deal with the public. I mean, I hate to have a go at them, but
my God, there were some interesting characters.
People in the mic. Yeah.
Really interesting.
Would you do it again?
I might have like a little truck one day and just open it for like peak. Yeah.
Pop-ups.
Like peak. Yeah. So you could like, put it on a pitch or in front of a station or by a beach.
Did you ever look into it?
Not at this point. But
can you literally would you need a license and all that?
Yeah, I think you'd need to get, sign off on that.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of overheads and things, having a little truck.
I mean, if we just put a kettle out the window here with an extension just downstairs with a couple of stools.
Yeah. Call me in, I'll come.
Have you thought about any sort of business of your own other than what you're doing now, like starting a shop or starting at this or doing?
Oh my gosh, all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, because I spend so much time making other people's businesses a success, and when you just you think, gosh. if I applied the same amount of energy and time to because obviously I'm offering a service at the moment, but a tangible bricks and mortar business. If I put my own, combine the two, it would.
What's been in the back of your mind if everything?
What's the passion project afterwards?
But I think it would. That's why I was so interested in what you were saying just then, because I'm always. That's what I would probably do. I mean, if I had my own, that's what I would love. If I had my own restaurant, coffee shop, bar.
It's amazing the amount of entrepreneurs. It's me myself, where it's almost like you want if I just had that one thing with a couple of friends. Everything would be great because you're not just going every day constantly dealing with multiple things. There's something about the calmness of just going and opening a shop and just having some regular customers.
It's not that calm, by the way.
Yeah, I know, from the face of it. But just that, right, that's the place. A couple of friends to do it with, so there's no stress, and then just open up and have some.
But I think the way you're doing it, you've got that sort of flexibility. So, you put a lot of hours in, but I suppose, like you said, you can take your laptop, you can go here, you can be
exactly. I mean, exactly. And I'm offering my advice and my services to it's all digital, it's remote. It's like that digital nomad life, isn't it? So.
Yeah, didn't you say you just went to a retreat? You sort of cut yourself off from the audio stuff for a while, or the audio stuff, digital stuff.
No.
From till the first, you were away.
So the company, one of my clients, one of the big projects that we're working on at the moment is what we call Villa Wellness Retreats.
Yeah.
So we're bringing in sort of leading experts in their field and in different aspects of health and wellness, and it's something that we've created in order to fill the villa in the winter months. So
it's
not
still working.
It's not. It's not something. It's not something that I'm not actually participating in the retreat.
Right.
I'm creating and marketing them.
I genuinely didn't email you because I thought, well, I don't want to bother you because you're obviously cut off. No, but you were creating something.
I was. Yes, exactly.
For areas. That's a bloody good. For areries that go quiet, like on the seafront,
it's
things like that.
It's the off season. It's the off peak season.
To then monetize the quietness.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's mad, and that you
sounds nice.
You need to unplug yourself.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm very bad at unplugging. I never switch off.
I know, so I can't.
If you're self-employed, it's difficult.
They work for the BBC. I can't get any too specific, but they work for the BBC and they've gone freelance doing the thing that they were doing for the BBC for themselves. I can't say what, but she's got this ethos of she doesn't work after 5 p.m. at all or weekends at all, which I admire. But I thought people just email somebody else. I didn't want to say, I like what you're doing, but that's...
Yeah, but maybe financially she's at a point where she doesn't need to. Because if she's making the money she wants, then she doesn't have to.
No, she needs... Because things haven't gone well. It hasn't gone... And I didn't want to say, look, I admire what you're doing.
But turn your phone on.
That is not the world. And problems, it doesn't matter. Offering them things and they get back to you day to go, I emailed somebody else. I can't wait. The world isn't going to come to you.
Like,
the world has changed.
I was in the Peak District on a family holiday, having a great time, and my phone was going for work stuff. Yeah. And one of them was a really good job. And I ended up doing that job. Yeah. But if I've just turned that phone off, they would, like you said, they would have just emailed someone else.
Changed. That's not the world.
So it's a bit difficult. Like even when you want that time, there's a bit of a...
Yeah.
You're always contactable, aren't you?
I mean, we are. There's like, communication is constant. And there's, particularly in London, but I do find the different cultures and different places that I visit, I get so impatient if I have to wait more than 24 hours for an email response. Yeah. But it's just, for example, in Norway, you will not get a reply to an email if you email them mid-afternoon on a Friday. There's nobody answers you.
Right.
And nobody anywhere will answer an email mid-afternoon on a Friday. It's just unheard of. And that's, but in actual fact, who's the idiot? Because it's kind of, we are running ourselves. I think in London, it's such a fast-paced city and there's so much competition and so much ambition and so much entrepreneurialism. But so you kind of have to be on it all the time.
If you're a freelancer,
but you can run yourself like into the ground.
Yeah,
too,
I mean,
can't you?
There's nothing noble about never switching off and never taking time out. I think it's
because there's no time off, and I can't remember whenever there was, but I always enjoy everything I'm doing. So it's weird. You have to explain that to people. You go, yeah, but it's not, I'm not a minor.
Do you have like one rule in your life where you're like, this is my time?
No.
Nothing at all.
Everything is work.
So
it's fun.
So,
Why would I not want to do fun stuff?
No, of course. But is there anything where that is a limit for you? You will not do that. Like, is that is that responding to emails on a Sunday night at 10? Would you do that?
Oh no. You know what I do? There's a trick. I'll write the email. I'll look at the email and I'll write my answer, but I save it in drafts. If it's a Sunday, I'll save it in drafts, and then at 7:00 Monday morning, I just ping out all because I don't want to.
Oh, you don't engage
invite the fact or have, sort of like establish an expectation that that I'm available on a Sunday to answer emails. Idea. So, but I am. I am.
But also,
she's not really.
Yeah. I suppose it must just be needs must. But it's just if you're starting out like this person was, you can't. It's all right if you've got a bit of a reputation, but you can't start out not knowing anyone and with that sort of rule. It doesn't work.
Where you were saying you've got somebody contacting you on a daily basis, would you want them contacting you Sunday?
But if you just started and you had to pay your rent, you can't be picky.
Yeah.
If you've been doing it for a while and you can't, so I think that's more. It's more you have to sort of weigh up. I don't have to.
There was a politician that was slammed recently for saying that he wasn't going to work. He gave a certain time of a cutoff point for being with his family and stipulated that, and the opposition slammed him for saying, "Well, how is he going to be?" But it was.
Because it's weird because you naturally agree with what they're saying. You shouldn't be doing it all the time. But I suppose politics, you do need to time off. That's not leisure, is it? Like that's not. I love my job.
Politics is a bit of a different arena, but yeah, you need to have
legal letters and things.
Some type of balance, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, especially if it's like the medical field or something. Like, I want the doctor to not be up all night and come into work the next day.
Emergency surgery. No, sorry, it's 5 p.m.
Yeah,
on
I
Friday.
think it's just that. Can you do it or not? If you can, then great. And if you can't, then you have to. That's the world. If you want to earn money, you're up against other people that they'll just go to them instead. What was the business then? What would you set up if you won $500,000? And what would you do?
Oh gosh,
would it be not a coffee shop? But
do investments maybe?
It was a beach bar in Ibiza.
Okay. Ibiza again. Are you going to end up there one day?
For sure. It's like my
sounds like it.
It's like my you just have a happy place.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who live there on the island, and my son was conceived there. I had to think about my words then. So we have we just have a lot of connection with the island. So I think for sure my absolute dream business would be just a little beach bar, little bohemian kind of like dreamy place, boho vibes.
What's boho?
Boho vibes.
What's that?
You can Google it after.
It's like bohemian.
Oh,
so
bohemian.
Bohemian. But I think boho has been kind of like the phrase is used now to describe like a style, like a way of life and a style and a fashion. You get boho fashion. Boho.
Yeah.
What sort of music be playing in the background?
Bit of house, bit of chill beats, electronic.
Yeah.
Definitely not folk music.
It's around the maypole. Would they be doing that?
I have actually done that, by the way.
Oh, is that what they do?
Line dancing and maypole dancing. That's the vibe. Right. That's the vibe. But
we had a comedian on here, Brandon, and he runs what's the dancing? Cowboy dancing.
Oh, line dancing.
Line dancing.
Yeah. My dad is a Morris dancer.
God, I'd forgotten about them.
No,
with the bells.
It's with the bells and the sticks. So we have like a Boxing Day tradition where we go watch my dad Morris dance.
What?
It's mad. It's like face painting and everything. But he's trying so hard. So he's like with the Colchester Morris men, and they're trying. And he's the head as well. He's the leader of the troop. And they're trying so hard to bring it back and inspire the younger generation to
get back into it a bit.
Yeah.
I remember doing that at school.
I've never done that.
Why were we doing it? Was it a pagan thing?
It is weird. It's like tribal. It's like a really kind of like strange.
There's a lot of phallic.
Is it traditional?
Yeah, it's like.
I don't know what the maypole might have been something phallic. I don't know, so it might be a bit dodgy. But because you used to go under each other with holding. What are we doing? There was no purpose to that whatsoever.
Did you have a good time?
No, I could never remember if to go over beneath. It's like sewing because you go up beneath the person. But what was the point? I can't even think what it was for. It must have been religious. Oh,
No,
yeah.
I think it's to celebrate, May, spring, something to do with spring.
Oh,
Of course,
okay.
like
All right.
maypole.
Oh, the maypole. Okay,
January,
yeah.
February, March,
yeah,
April,
yeah.
May, summer. Might be phallic rabbit. But anyway,
I mean, I'm never going to be able to look at a maypole in the same way.
it's got to be. You know, yeah.
I'll Google later.
Where did you go to school then? Was it all mostly in Tokyo, the secondary school?
No, Hong Kong and Germany, not Tokyo, Hong Kong, was...
You were at secondary school for both?
No, that was primary. And then I came back to the UK for secondary.
Oh, right, okay.
I think China was sort of taking back Hong Kong. Was it Chris Patton who was like the governor at the time? And so it sort of worked. You know, the military were leaving. So and plus I had GCSEs and stuff coming up, which my dad would rather I actually do in the UK.
Do you feel any pull to go back there?
I've never been back, and I don't know. I feel like I've got this sort of like magical memories from that time,
Right,
and if
yeah,
I go
going
back, I might be like.
Do you know anyone there?
We keep in touch with people. We do keep in touch with people that are there, and I have friends that have also left, but we grew up with that. But
How much of the language did you learn? Well, you was at school. You must have.
No, but if it's military, they speak
it's an
English. There,
Oh, right.
I think.
Okay.
It's an English
Right,
school.
okay.
It's like on Gun Club Hill Barracks. It's proper like
right.
all the officers' kids. It's a very English school.
Oh.
But I mean, why Homa? Yeah.
Because
That's
you're
my
making
Chinese.
that up.
We don't know what that. Do you know what that means?
No, I
what
don't.
does that mean?
Just means hi. How are you? That's it.
Chinese.
Chinese, Cantonese. It's actually Cantonese.
Yeah, I was going to say, does the language go across the whole country? It can't be. There must be various
No,
dialects.
it's like Mandarin and Cantonese.
Yeah, of course, right, yeah.
It's a really, really difficult language.
Do you remember I was listening to a podcast years ago, This American Life, and they were speaking to one of the teachers, the American teachers that went there to deal with the university students, because they were talking about early days of plastic surgery and how they were having bone augmentation. Because in the universities, you have to show a photograph, and they were clearly just picking people that they liked the look of. So it became normal that the students would get loans to have bone augmentation.
What, to make them have like what?
Like the more Americanized, so they'd pin the eyes open and they'd bleach the skin, and they'd have the bone cut so they weren't like round faced as what were they traditionally are.
sad.
Well, it's just American culture, but they were clearly just picking. They spoke to the students, said, "No, you got to do it. You got to have. If the parents can afford it, you have the thing." But there was a guy. So this is something else, and he sued his wife because she'd had so much plastic surgery that when he married her, the kid came out, and he described it looking like from the hills, like the tribal kids. So he sued her successfully because she'd had all the work done.
He sued her because his child wasn't attractive.
Yeah, I mean, he was a piece of shit, obviously, because he just realised,
God.
she's not like the American version of it. She's like
she'd
the
had
hills.
so much work.
Yeah.
Oh, so he felt like he was sort of deceived.
Deceived.
But then if you like what you see, does it matter how?
Because again, he's an idiot. So
If
he
you
just
like
thought
her as a person.
I don't think it was that. It was the fact that
Yeah.
now he's got a kid that doesn't
Yeah.
look like what he wanted, if you know what I mean.
And also, he must know she had surgery. Like,
No,
if she
not
had a lot
really.
of work done, it's probably very obvious.
No, I don't think. Sometimes you see, you don't really know. No.
Anyway, he was.
I saw a picture of her. She looked
he was
very
a bit
attractive.
shallow.
Well, of course he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to sue her as well.
When did that happen?
Oh, this is like 15 years ago.
Oh my
So
God. Did he win?
Yeah, he actually won. I don't know what
He
happened,
won.
but he successfully sued her. But I don't know what you can get out of it. It's half of his money.
Yeah.
I've only got
Put
the
it
money.
back into the child.
I mean, what can you do? But the suing, just end the
Yeah.
relationship. He's that pissed off, and don't sue the person. That's like,
And that's a different level.
but that
isn't
just
it?
shows he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I was changing end on a happier note than that. What have you got? What's got going up in the future? Anything?
It's just bringing me back to the conversation. I was looking at you in absolute shock at this story. Like, on my brain, it brings me back to the conversation about marriages and how they marriages and how some people become, breakups can be extremely toxic. I mean, that's next level toxic.
It's suing the
I don't
person,
think
yeah.
they're going to end up friends.
There is a correlation. They said the more money that's spent on the wedding, you can correlate on graphs that the more likelihood it would end.
Oh.
Because it's to do with you're doing it for other people. So that
Yeah,
you have a
the
million.
reasoning.
Yeah, rather than if it's just two of you probably just do want to be the two of you. It's not an exact science, but they know that the more, and celebrity weddings would be an exaggeration. I
Yeah.
bet they count for a lot of the statistics of the big weddings.
I know.
It's
I'm thinking of
basically a
like the
show.
J-Lo wedding now. I'm like, oh.
J-Lo, she's still about, or is she rebranded? I haven't heard her name for a while.
She's still about. Yeah, I do like her, but she's been married 4 times.
Oh, come on.
I think.
So we were talking
show
about,
business.
I only said I'll only get married once. People think you're weird if you don't get married, like there's something wrong with you. Rather than, no, it's because I said I'll do it once. So I'm making sure, don't make any mistakes in my 20s and my 30s. But people look at you weird. But I've said this before, you shouldn't be allowed to get married until you're 40. One, there's no need, and you don't really know anything. When you're 20s, you know nothing. I don't care how old you think you are, you're nothing. You're still a kid. Yeah. When you're 30, you're basically cleaning up all the problems from your 20s. So you don't really do anything in your 30s. When you get to the late 30s...
I was 29 when I married.
Yeah, but you don't, it seems like you're an adult. But when you look back, you go... Yeah,
agree.
I'm still thinking about other people and what everybody else is doing. If you can get to 40, having not got married, perfect. You'll marry the right person at that point.
Yeah, but then you have to deal with like having children and essentially having a geriatric pregnancy. You're looking at it from a man's perspective.
Yeah, as a woman, it's not quite the same.
Yeah, but not that you have to be married to have children. But I mean, obviously, if you're following the marriage and children, it's... 40. Great for men. Great for men. But
I think, to be honest, now that you point that out, I have
for
just
women
been thinking
to have
from
kids, you've got
but 40, this isn't the 60s. 40 isn't old now, is it?
No, it's not. But as in terms of actually being able to have kids, it changes.
At 40?
I mean, everyone's hormones are depleting. I had
people that are close to 50
I was 36. So
that's good age, yeah.
But I was geriatric. Apparently, I hate that word. I was actually told I was that geriatric pregnancy.
At 30, it's considered geriatric.
Yeah, but because it's the childbearing age, and I do look at friends that have kids when they're in their 20s and 30s, and the energy levels then the bounce back that they have. I mean, my son is 7, and oh my God, I feel my age so much. I'm like having to go and race around. All I want to do is sit in my slippers and have a hot chocolate. And he wants to go race around playing football on a Sunday morning. And I'm like, I'm 44.
Well, I know this. 44.
Not today.
This is not what
a midwife. She said it's easier when you're in your 20s. She said because you don't panic about everything. You don't know everything. She said when they get to 30s and 40s, they're constantly reading books about everything. So you're worrying about everything. She said when you're a kid, you just sort of have the kid and you do it. But when you're older, you've got every book and you've read all the symptoms and you panic a lot more.
It's a funny one, isn't it? I suppose, ultimately you just want to meet some person that you think you could have a family with.
I don't
know when that's going to be.
I think you should be allowed to have one kid. I mean, it's getting a bit fascist.
Oh, gosh.
No, but it works. It works. Morally, this works.
We'll see this advice.
You should be allowed to have one kid, but then you have to adopt for the second one because kids need adopting. Okay. I don't think it's right if you have too many kids.
That's nice.
Because it's the most selfish thing you can do.
But it's a lovely thing to do.
Yeah, I don't want to bring in the China law, but personally, I think you should have to adopt first.
Are you going to adopt?
I'll adopt, doesn't bother me.
Wow.
But it seems that's a more moral thing to... Having a kid is literally the most selfish thing you can do. And that's not a moral judgment. I just mean it's literally, I want a kid that looks like me rather than adopt, which is understandable. But it's ego. That's what it is. But then you think, well, how many kids need looking after? So I'm not even saying you have to have a kid. But I say if you have one that's not, you should definitely have one that's second. Obviously, not legally, you have to do it. But I think that's the right. And I think also,
I think they should be given more consideration.
Yeah, not that you're just doing it for that kid. I think it's good for the child you do have to have that relationship because they're going to be mature and it's a good maturity thing to bring into a relationship. I think that's a good idea. But the branding of, I was talking about marketing, but the branding of adoption is just terrible. It's convoluted. It's so over the top. It's not, it should be everywhere. You should see posters up about it, come and do it. People that I know that have done it, they're like, Jesus Christ, like we're not perfect robots. You have to go back and look through everything you did and speak. I get it. You've got to protect, but it's good. The whole way it works is just terrible. So the kids just sit there in care homes and we know what goes on in care homes from all the police officers and things we've had on here. But I just think that's a good thing for everyone. it's a good thing, but it's just the branding of you should
needs some
contact the
updating.
adoption companies and say, listen,
do some marketing.
yeah, I'll do it. I'll say, listen, you're doing nothing. It has to be people that really want to adopt, that are willing to go through all that, rather than make it easier for people to do it.
Yeah, I would definitely adopt if I was in. If I was in a situation where I had, I wasn't single parenting, I would definitely adopt.
Yeah.
I mean, at the moment, one is more than enough.
Yeah.
Thank you. But I think it's such an amazing contribution to society. It was so rewarding and so fulfilling to be able to do that.
It's good for the other kids you've got. It works on every front. And to know people that have adopted, because you don't really know anyone that's adopted.
I know of somebody. I mean, he was like a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
And him and his partner had a daughter, and then they adopted 3 brothers and sisters. They ended up having 4 children, and they all grew up together. I
suppose gay couples, because you've got they must be quite prominent now with adoption. Don't know how much
sure that's
percentage it is. It must be, because no other options. You have to do it.
Yeah.
I have a friend who actually found out that he was adopted at late life, it was
post 18. You mean?
Yeah, I think he must have been about in mid 40s, and he found out that he was actually adopted. Which
he must have had questions before.
It was.
No, if you don't know, you don't know.
There might be something.
If you don't look like
some details.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't imagine. It must be crazy to
find that,
to suddenly find out that. Yeah.
I suppose.
Did he have a good, if you don't mind me asking, was his upbringing
amazing. But unfortunately, his when he found out that he was adopted, his adopted parents, his biological parents had already passed away,
so he couldn't,
which was really sad. It's a minefield. It was super sad.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about having kids?
I have. Yeah.
But no great pull to right now.
So I wasn't one
of those. You just got engaged, didn't you?
No.
Didn't you just get engaged?
No, look.
It's because your photographs and modelling. I think I've seen probably.
I've done a wedding.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, a couple of wedding shoots.
No, hang on. You went to 20 countries or something? Wasn't that part?
10 countries. I just went travelling.
Oh, I could have swore that was part of an engagement thing.
No.
Yeah, your wedding is confusing.
He's marrying you off.
Because her photographs are all mixed in with reality. So
No. So there's no travel pictures on that. What you're on the Instagram.
There's definitely wedding ones.
Yeah, so that was work.
That wasn't with your fella, boyfriend.
It was, but it was still work.
See, as if I'm to blame. So he's a model as well.
He does some modelling.
Or you just dragged him in as a couple?
I actually kind of did drag him into it, but he is actually modelling
he's
independently.
A carpenter, isn't he, or something?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So he does that part-time.
How long have you dated him for? This is the last question.
It's all right. 3 years.
Was he around for the coffee shop thing? Did he fit it out
for you? No,
I didn't
know him then.
Oh, okay.
No. So that's his post-coffee shop.
Oh.
But yeah, just in answer to your question about the kids, I've never been as a small child, I want to get married and, have babies. But I think now I'm of an age where I'm thinking, actually, I don't mind now.
Yeah.
But before it wasn't really.
But nowadays you've got to think about financial. You just have to think about it. It's not like you can't. It's weird because they said, you think when your parents were growing up, there was somebody saying how you could have just your dad go to work and you could have a house, a couple of cars and a couple of holidays and a kid. Now you've got 2 people, can't even afford the rent. I mean, forget kids. That's what's, we've just slowly got used to that. I said, so next generation will get slowly used to the fact you can't own your own house. That was like rich people didn't. It gets handed down. Just get used to it. It's terrible.
I think especially if you live in London as well.
Oh, forget it.
There's more of that.
I was going to say that it's very true, and it's one of the reasons. And again, going back to a previous question, one of my motivations and reasons, and now with a single parent, is the fact that you can manage the parenting obligations with the work obligations because you have that flexibility of time to an extent.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it's not achievable in the cost of living as it is now for me to be working in house where the hours and the expectations to be are a lot, in particularly if you're working on the hotel side. It doesn't
just
balance out.
So
it doesn't work.
Do you think being a self-employed freelancer sort of benefits your family situation?
100%. I mean, I work a lot in the evenings after my little boy has gone to bed. And I mean, when he was first born, I used to have a laptop and I'd carry on working whilst he was, next to me or, sitting on me or strapped to me. And I was, going to meetings with him.
That's a big benefit. Strapped. It's not like you have to leave and get in a cab and go to the hospital to do a shift.
There's absolutely no way. The salary that I would have, my salary expectations for going back, because I was actually, I considered it recently. The Nobu Portman Square Hotel and King's Cross St Pancras Hotel were two considerations for me to take an in-house role, but the salary expectation in order to cover childcare costs is
it's mad, and
it doesn't work.
I've got to think about the cost.
It feels like the model needs to change, doesn't it? Yeah. Because you're making it work as a single parent and having this flexible schedule so you can get done what you need to get done. But if you're doing it in a rigid time frame and raising the next generation, it's just something's going to fall, isn't it?
It has to change, and I'm really passionate about this because it's like, I think it's the parent penalty. So I said I make it work around my child so I can be the best parent I can be, but obviously I'm solo, so one income, and living in central London essentially, although on the other side of the river. And the maths it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So even if I wanted to sort of not step out of consultancy,
the cost is part.
I essentially have to hire a full-time nanny, and I
said this before. I dated this a Slovakian ballet dancer who was over here, and she was doing au pair work, and the teacher because the au pairs know each other, so that she went to school. And the au pair was telling her, I went to the school and I was asking the English teacher, why do the kids all have funny accents, the English kids?
It's the nannies and
she
the
said,
au pairs,
it's a Thai accent. There are kids that have been around the parent, the Thai nanny more than both the parents. Think of that. So that a foreigner noticed it. That's how strong it was. I thought, imagine... You must hear it in your own kid.
It just shows you how much time they're spending with their children.
Going somewhere.
I would hate to come home and have 1 hour before my child's bedtime to see him, if that. If you're working till 6 o'clock in the evening.
Selfishness of just.
I would absolutely. It would kill me.
It's not my kid. You're the baby. You're basically turning part time.
Yeah,
that's the parent really. Think of that though, to the point where it's got their accent. How humiliating that is as well.
It sort of makes you think, what's the point in working? Surely you're working to give your children a better life, and yet your children are growing up seeing you for half an hour before their bedtime.
In media, there was I see people now where you've got to do, for your career, you have to be seen as stable. Try moving up the BBC at 30 and being single. They won't have it. They'll see you as too chaotic. You have to, and I've seen it multiple times where they get to 20 or 27 and they suddenly start internet dating. We've got to get someone, then they're dating somebody straight away. They go on holiday 3 months later. They go on holiday again, engaged, have a kid, back to work. Now they've got the kid, and now they can move up the ladder. Try being a single woman at 30.
I can't believe that. That's
the norm. It's the norm. 27
in this day and age.
Accidentally, I watched it and I hit, and it's always about 27, 28 when they're now in the company. I'm not just talking about the BBC, any media company. You cannot move up as a single person. You're too chaotic. They need to know, there's the kid, there's the husband, we now know who you are. And somebody told me once about a media company. I believe that, to be honest. And he said to me, they're not allowed to ask, right? You're not allowed to ask about somebody's personal. It's not allowed to be taken into consideration. But they say, oh, so tell me about yourself. What are you like? What do you do? Anyway, are you married? Yeah. And that's part of the interview.
They'd love me then.
If you say
we don't do 4-day work weeks here, only 5.
But that's just the way it is. See how many single people you know in media, like newsreaders or whatever, that you won't get the job because you're seen. Well, we don't want somebody goes out drinking. They want to know you're locked in. But the people know it and they do it. But that's why you have so many divorces in the 40s, because for their career they rushed ahead and got married with somebody just so they could have the kid, get back to work and carry on my career, and then realise, I don't even like this person. But
I don't even like this job.
Wait for a kid to leave school, but then have a divorce, and it just then the next person comes along, and it's the same thing. That's why I said when people say you aren't married, it's as if like you couldn't have got married rather than been proposed to multiple times. I just chose not to. It seems like there's something wrong but you're that age and you haven't got married. Like, what's wrong with you? You go, whose rules?
You just got to shed the expectations, don't you? You just got to do what's right.
I think it's changing now anyway. I think marriage is just America. The kids are all talking about open marriages, so they don't even do the monogamy things. A bit antiquated.
Oh yeah, I'm hearing about a lot open relationships.
It's not a little thing anymore.
Oh, if I see, but
it's not a relationship.
E&M.
What's that?
Ethically non-monogamous. It's a dating app.
It's even got a name.
A dating app phase. It's actually a community.
Yeah, it's fine. That's fine.
It's a dating. It's a dating app phrase you essentially have it on your profile. E&M. So
is it on? Are you on? Like, not are you on it, but. Have you seen a lot of E&M?
I love a dating app.
But do you see people writing E&M a lot on there?
All the time.
What does it
It's all the time. Ethically non-monogamous. Essentially, you're not willing to commit to monogamy because you don't believe that it's a natural state to be in. But it's entirely. But the ethical part is key because it's all about honesty, respect, consent.
Okay, right.
So you're not. So essentially, you're taking away the fact that you're taking away the concept of infidelity. So I get it.
It doesn't work.
Get
it works when you're 20 and you're trying to be trendy. Anyone I know that's done anything, let's just say remotely like that.
I know someone that's done something like that. And it didn't work.
It's like life has to go one way or the other.
I kind of get it. I get it.
Yeah, it works on paper, but it doesn't work in the long run.
For some people, it works.
No. It starts off.
I feel like it is quite complicated because everyone gets emotions and you get tied to things.
It works. Eventually, the world cracks and you have to go one way or the other. But what
if you love someone so much that you want them to experience freedom and everything that life has to offer, and it's because it's ego essentially. What if you can leave your ego at the door?
Yeah. On paper, great, works as a philosophy.
It's
perfect.
like an ideal, isn't it?
Human beings, jealousy. It doesn't work long. To 10 years in, when the novelty's worn off, it does not work. Somebody somewhere.
No, do you know what? There's a program, Stacey Dooley's meets a couple who are married with a kid, and they are in an open relationship, and they go and see other people, and they've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah, no,
they have been doing that for
but then the alternative,
10 years or something.
Yeah, and the alternative to that lifestyle choice would be, as I see with so many people I know. There's there's deceit and lies and being done and being done. It's still being done. It's just being done secretly. So what's worse?
I read and this is perfect. So I read listen to who's just got the film out recently where she splits into two. Ghost. What's her name?
What?
No, what's the film Ghost?
I looked at you with utter blankness in my face.
Into two. Does anyone
Who
know?
was in Ghost? The chick in Ghost.
Demi Moore.
Yeah, Demi Moore. So she's in the film that's in the cinema now, where it's about she's a failing star and somebody gives her a youth pill and she splits into two. But she's in the.
Where's that on then? Netflix?
It's out now.
It's
getting really good reviews. Like they're saying she should get an Oscar. It's a horror.
What's it called?
No, sorry, not Netflix. A cinema.
What's it called?
Split or something. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds quite interesting.
So it's her being an out of date, like her age, and she sees posters and all pulling it down, and her fame's falling, and she's a woman now, and they're over 40, and they've got some guy, you're too old to do that now, like fitness videos. And it's science fiction horror, but somebody comes along, gives her a pill, and she splits into two, and she's her beautiful young, but she's got the mindset of who she is, and she becomes successful. But then she has to go back into the body to regenerate, but she doesn't want to. Yeah, anyway. Now I've forgotten what I was talking about.
I don't even know how you got onto this topic. I've
just come back to it.
We were talking about open relationships.
Yeah, I've just come back to it. So I download various audiobooks randomly because I want to make sure every year I listen to people I just don't know nothing about. Boring, gardening stuff, science. I'll just randomly download audiobooks and force myself to listen to them. And one of them was her. So she had a bad life. Her mum actually sold her virginity to a guy.
Wait, who?
Demi Moore.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, she was 15. What? A guy came around the house, banged her, and then the guy said, how does it feel to be sold for like 50 quid? And her mum was like a drunk. They had a horrendous life. They made up literally on a deathbed, like when she was actually dying, the whole life. So she had issues with, anyway.
Oh, wow.
But when she got with, I don't know.
Bruce Willis?
No, the young guy.
Ashton Kutcher?
Yeah. You know she did the stripper film? because she got with him and she talks about it quite openly. And because he was a lot younger and he was very famous at the time. And she said, so that's when she got really fit and she did the thing because she wanted to be, she said, isn't it natural? I didn't know I was doing it at the time, but I wanted to be like young sort of thing. And she was only, like 35 or something like that. But then he brought up about having like a threesome. And she said, I didn't want to do it. Because she was a little bit religious and like, one of those kids that's had a bad background.
She's talking all about this. About this
so she goes the other way. When somebody's had a bad background, you sort of become, I don't drink and I don't do drugs.
Yeah.
She was a bit like that. But she said, I was with him young. And she said, we did have this weird, he's really mature and I was quite immature. So because he was very career focused and he was famous. So they had a long romance of like going on holidays together and just being together. And he said, this was real love. Anyway, and he then brought up about the fact of having a threesome. And she said, I didn't want to do it, but I didn't want to be like, I wanted to like please him to basically. Yeah. And they did it. And then he just started banging her on the side as well.
Well, it's not really the best foundation.
Yeah, I don't want to do it, but
best decision making, doing it just to please someone else. I think that's never going to work.
Yeah, she said I was just because he was young.
She wasn't on board with it necessarily.
No, she said I didn't want to do it, but I did it just trying to be. Then it found out he was sleeping with him.
I suppose on a dating app, if you both got that on your profile,
it works for a few months and it's great. And we've got this philosophy, it's open marriage.
It's not for me.
Yeah, and then one day you go, you're seeing so and so again, are you? Like, you knew from the start. Yeah, okay, fine. It doesn't work.
For me, anyway. I don't know. You just
don't get married.
You just get attached. You do. I mean, not to everyone.
What I'm saying, don't get married. Don't get in a relationship. Just have. Oh no, I don't see anybody exclusively. They're perfect. Don't introduce marriage and then say, well, within the marriage, I'm going to have an open. It doesn't make any sense.
But some people do that to save their marriage as well.
I know a lot of marriages that probably would have been saved had they lived ethically non-monogamous lifestyle. To be like. Well,
it sounds prejudicial, but the French. They basically know you've got a mistress on the side. The women know that. And even with politics, you sort of know that there's something going on. You just don't take the mick because it's more honest. They know the guy is a guy. Like I knew a young girl said this to me. She said, you can't trust any men. She said, if they haven't cheated on you, it's because they're only as faithful as their options. They haven't cheated on you because nobody's come along to do it. If they can do it, and they will do it, like basically.
I think women as well, by the way. Like it goes.
Yeah, I like to keep the women up here, but the more and more you realise. But as a general rule, the women have to try and hold the chimp male together. But she said, you have to understand they're gonna do it, but just know, don't ever take the piss, and don't ever let me see it. I said that's as honest as you can be about it.
Have you ever cheated?
No, I'm like my moral. Remember I said, was you here? No, we were talking about divorces and morals and things before, and I've dated a lot of feminists and religious people for some reason. But I think because I like people that have a strong ethic thing because of my chaotic background, so I've gone the opposite way. So I think that's what I like, the people that are just decent, straightforward, no messing about, they are what they are. But yeah, no, I couldn't. I feel terrible about tiny things. The notion of getting to the point of cheating with somebody means there's been 100 lies to actually do that. It's not like, I just fell over and had sex with them. There's been multiple lies. That's the worst thing I think with cheating. It wouldn't be that the best thing would be I got drunk one night, can't remember the name, don't know anything. But an affair, that's hundreds of lies. I can't even tell you the story. It was the worst story.
You're telling it though, aren't you?
Sorry, we're going to end on this because we've been going for an hour and 20, right? I think about this now. This is with my bad background, living on the streets, left home, rough, uneducated, couldn't read. So I had the worst of everything. This guy I think about whenever I'm having a bad day. Think of this, right? So I did a lot of chaotic jobs where you didn't have to learn to read. I did removal jobs, just running out and down. All this stuff, you get cash in hand jobs that nobody wanted to do. And I worked with this guy, but you work with different people every day. And because it's removals work, it was the work that nobody else wanted to do because you're just running up and down stairs with sofas and things in flats all 12 hours a day, sometimes no break. You just the whole day, 100 times up and down with 40 kilogram. But it's a terrible job. They would get people out of jail, like bin men, they'd find people out of jail or people couldn't get jobs and the job centre would send you there. If you want a job, you got no money, just find up any removal company and they'll start you the next day because they can't get people. They'd quit after 15 minutes, most people, or leave at the end of the day and not come back. Anyway, so I knew this guy and he was about 55 and he was quite well spoken. And I just think, what's he doing here? Anyway, we had to go up to Scotland, me and him, to move this family up to Scotland because everybody was moving out of London to go and live with their parents again. So I took up to Scotland, and on the way back, we just started talking, and he was saying how he was trying to find a room because he couldn't afford a room, and he said the woman was like 400 quid, and I went in there, and there was bunk beds in there, and she was expecting me to share with somebody else a 400 pound a month, and he said I went to another one that was like 550 for a room, and he said I went in there, and it was supposed to be one room. It was a room with a polystyrene partition that they put a polystyrene with a bed on the other side, the same door. So we were talking about money, and he said, yeah, well, I lost a lot of money. He said, well, I lost everything. He said, I was a millionaire. I did property and all these things for like 30, 40 years. So in the 80s, when you started having like Polish girls coming over, you know, that's first wave of people. And he got with someone who's like 19, and he was in his 30s. Lovely, great girl, blah, blah, blah. Had a successful company, brought her in, company, all that, got the company going. All going very well. He was a multiple millionaire. Then her brother got her brother over to work for the company as well. So he came over, moved over, started working with the company. Everything's great. Decent relationship, together for 10 years. Goes to the bank one day. His card doesn't work. Goes into the bank, 0. And he's like, what? And he said, when you're moving in big business, there's a lot of dodgy stuff goes on. He said, I was worried she'd been kidnapped or something, like property. You know, he said there's a lot of that sort of thing goes on. Like police accusing people of fraud and things like that. It's weird. He said, I was worried somebody had kidnapped her. Went home.
So, like, his accounts were clear.
Yeah, there's nothing in the bank, zeros. He went home, everything's gone. Nothing.
Be like,
sounds like a film.
Right, so, and I knew him for a while before he told me all this. So then he said, he figured out what happened. No, she had transferred the money over to something else. And he had 1,500 quid in cash. He had nothing. There's nothing in the bank. And he said, so anyway, I'll skip out. But basically, he had to find out what happened. Had to get the police involved in all that. And yes, she had moved stuff around and then eventually transferred the money. She'd been doing it for a few years, like other company, because she was the head of the accounts. She was doing the accounts because his wife. Like, do you think you trust her with the money? She'd been moving various things around. This is what they found out. Moved it overseas. That's not even the story. So he finds out that she's back in Poland, and he said, I didn't have any money. I couldn't hire people. I had nothing. He said, so he was trying to do things in Poland to find her, but he said they're still quite racist in Poland. He said, and he's Irish. He said, when you go over there and you're trying to find a Polish woman, it's like, go, because he said they're quite racist. They just don't want a foreigner coming over here trying to find a Polish woman. You're not getting help unless you give them a load of money, which I didn't have. So you had to go back to do menial work. This is why he ended up in the removals. Anyway, he found the kid. She changed the kid's name, blah, blah, blah. Turns out the brother was her husband.
What? But they're not related. They're not related.
No,
that's
they were married.
That's proper con artist level.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So the guy was saying, listen, they're in Poland. They just send the young girl over for 10 years, get involved, and you're going to have $1 million. Because all you have to do is walk into a nightclub, 19-year-old, you're a blonde girl, there's a 35-year-old millionaire, blah, 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 get involved in the business. They're just thinking long term. Like criminals, when they go and steal something, go, right, I'll serve 3 years, but I'll come out and I'll have money hidden away. They sort of factor it in.
God,
and he said, if you're from Poland,
real.
that $1 million, that's a lot more. And this is the late 80s. So he finds out that was the fucking husband.
Plan the whole time.
Turns out the kid wasn't his either. And he said that was the only thing. He's found out that the name he transferred was back to his name, the husband's name, that when he was over here, they'd been sleeping together, and it was the Polish kid. And he said, I was thinking, it didn't look a lot like me, but it must look like her.
Funny, but how good an actress would you have to be to
right,
pull
so
that
think
one
of
off?
this. This is what he said to me. So think about
maybe she didn't speak fluent English, so she didn't have to kind of explain anything. He might have just thought there was a language barrier.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the early 80s. It was not as cosmopolitan as we are now. But get this.
Did the kid know? No, the kid
No,
was,
he wouldn't.
No, well, you wouldn't, would you? You can't.
I think he was 5, but he said it's weird. He said because it was my kid, but now it's not my
anymore.
Kid.
Yeah,
because he said I was just trying to do it to find the kid. I knew I didn't know why she left, but anyway. But he said,
how messed up was that on the child?
But the police said, yeah, this is what they do. They've been sending young girls over and just for 10 years do the thing and come back and you got all the money and they can't come to Poland because it's the way it is. Yeah. Anyway, so he said the worst thing, because I was saying to him, Jesus Christ, I don't know what to feel sorry for you. I mean, if you're 50 and you've lost everything, you're not 20. Now you're running up downstairs
it also
with
means
boxes.
the whole thing's a lie, doesn't it?
Well, he said
a decade.
But he said, I couldn't, even looking back now, I can't see it. He said, we were going to parks and cinema and in bed together and there was nothing. He said, and this is what he said. He said, so all those years, I can't even see it looking back. He said, that was my wife. He said, but the weird thing is, he said, when she left, he said, she left me nothing, like zero. Like she didn't know he had 1,500 quid. So he said, but imagine even if you knew somebody for 10 years, you'd go, look, we're taking I think he got like 3.5 million they took from him, took everything. You'd still go, leaving £5,000. It's nothing. Why zero it? He said, that's what I've never been able to get my head around. The fact that she just zeroed everything, left me with nothing.
She never liked him.
But that's what a psychopath is compared to a con artist. That's someone that's dead inside.
Yeah.
And the husband knowing that he's dead.
It's killing, isn't it? To know that
Kid, you've lost everything, all the money.
That's a long time to put up a
10 years. The police said to him, explained the whole thing to him.
Yeah.
And he said, I had to just suck it up. And he was just quite a nice guy. And I felt terrible for him.
How old is he when you met him?
He must have been in his late 50s. He had bandages all around because he couldn't do that sort of job. 20-year-olds didn't want to do the job. And there he was, trying to do it properly, like a proper job. But
that's probably one of the saddest stories I've ever heard.
I saw him about 5 or 6 years later for the same removal company.
Are we still there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so this is close to 20 years ago. And
I just thought, like, if he's entrepreneurial, he'll be like, he got his hands on something else.
I think he'd given up. He was drinking. He was just trying to find a room, and he said they're conning me, and I haven't got the money. But I saw him years later, and the van just went past, and I saw him, and I was just looking at him, and I was thinking, you'd never know that bloke there. Just think of that. The wife, the kid,
I hope he gets a happy ending.
Yeah, he was frail, and he was drinking. Like he was all bandaged up. I thought there's nowhere to go. He must have been in late 50s. That's done. You're not coming back from that with zero money. Right, we've got to end on something. So what have you got?
He bounces back from that.
Absolutely tragic tale. Wow.
But
I mean,
life isn't that bad.
No.
What's in the future, next 5 years?
Yeah, what's
pipe dreams, everything. What's coming up
on the horizon?
Oh my gosh.
What have you got to do? What are you doing now at the moment? Like this year, what things are you doing?
Work-wise?
Yeah.
I'm carrying on. I mean, grafting as always. I'm carrying on. I've got a couple more trips back over to Italy, and the retreats are going to kick off at the end of this month, and that's basically going to be my life until April next year. Is these naturopathic wellness retreats at Villa Porta Rapallo. So that's the whole focus of the next kind of
6 months.
6 months.
And is there anything in the back of your mind that you want to do? Do you want to take time off and travel?
What are you doing? Yeah, what are you doing that's nice for yourself?
Yeah. Myself, nobody's ever asked me before.
I'm really looking forward to Christmas. Christmas we'll go obviously to see family back in Colchester, and then we'll go over to Norway, to see Inga, and he has this amazing farm that's just on the edge of a lake in the middle of nowhere. It takes about 10 hours to get there. It's so isolated, it's so remote. You get the frozen waterfall coming down. So that will be, and Christmas.
That's your time off.
Yeah. Do you get to spend like a week there? Or?
Yeah. New Year, kind of like from up after the Morris dancing. then we jump over to Norway. So I'm really looking forward to that.
But you enjoy your work, so you're enjoying working.
Oh my gosh, love it! Absolutely love it, and I just want to keep on doing what I'm doing and working with more, dynamic and interesting and cool clients. That so keep just doing what I'm doing.
Talking of branding, I would like to say thank you to Altwater for sponsoring the show. I've seen you fawning over the bottle, the lovely branding there. You think that's quite nice looking? It's a lovely bottle.
It was great. I was talking about my soda stream because of the guilt that I feel about having plastic bottles, and you've
gone for the sparkling water. Right, well, so what's your socials at?
Free Spirited Life.
Free Spirited Life, and that's for content creation in general.
Yeah.
What are we on? This British Life. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and he said Tokyo, TikTok.
Good.
Shamefully.
Hong Kong.
Yeah. But thank you to All Water for sponsoring the show, and we will be back next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks
Cheers.
for coming in.
Lovers whispers in the midnight.